Good evening to one and all present here. I am Toastmaster Veda, your sergeant arms for today, and I welcome you all to meeting number 333 of the Amrita Toastmasters Club. For Toastmasters Club, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Before we begin our 3:33 meeting, I request everyone to please keep your mobile phones switched off or on mute. Also, a disclaimer: discussion of sex, religion, and politics is prohibited in adherence to the rules of Toastmasters International, and mentions of the institution is also prohibited. Kindly use formal language and refrain from swearing or using offensive language during the meeting. I would also like to remind everyone to not indulge in cross talk while a speaker is on stage. I would also remind everyone to not refrain from moving around while the speaker is on stage too. If you have to move or leave the room, please wait until the speaker has finished speaking to prevent any disruptions. Additionally, speakers are requested to note that there will be disqualifications if they exceed the time limits for their speeches. And also a reminder, voting and suggestion forms will be sent at the end of each meeting, so please ensure that you're duly filled. I would now like to pass over control to our presiding officer, Toastmaster Ishta.
Thank you, Sadhana Toastmaster Veda. Welcome everyone to meeting number 333 of the Toastmasters Club. We will be having a prepared speech marathon today, and we have a very good array of speakers lined up, which I'm sure will dazzle us all today. Also, meeting number 332. Does anyone know the specialty of the number 333? No. It's because the latest number actually. So on that note, we have a guest with us, two guests in fact, which I would still like to take a moment to introduce them. To the guests, if you could introduce yourself and tell us what is your favorite number. We start. We have a new Toastmaster. Toastmaster Madhu. Give us an introduction.
They also are going to be part of the club again. And my favorite number, it's 7. I don't know. I think
Fair enough. I don't know. That's a very good one. Yes.
Evening everybody, I'm Shobna. I'm from second decimal security. My favorite number is 1 because my birthday is personal master is not.
Thank you for that. Yes, Samir, are you with us? I have no idea.
Well,
Samir, yes, hello. Samir, what is your favorite number?
7. The 7. Let's go with 7.
All right, 7. We have a lot of fans of the number 7. All right. To all the Toastmasters, yes, thank you for joining us. And we will be jumping right with marathon. So now I would like to pass over control to our general evaluator, Mr.
thank you, Professor Ishika, and good evening, everyone. So, general evaluation works to evaluate the entire meeting, evaluate the flow of the meeting, and let you know where which parts of the meeting are going good and which are not going, which are not, which are the parts we can improve upon. I'll also be acting as an MC so that I could look over the flow of today's meeting. So today we have a prepared speech marathon and we have 4 prepared speakers. And in order to evaluate, I have a tag team with me who will be helping me with this evaluation. So first, I'd like to call upon our time for today, Toastmaster Anand, to lead his floor and proceed.
Yes, I am the first one. And who am I today? Yeah, I'm the timer for this. It's the first time I'm taking timer in a real meeting. I have taken one timer when I was in the meeting, when it was in online lesson. And I'm quite sure about the rules as well. So, as a timer, my job is to time each and every speech and ensure that each speaker is speaks within the allotted time. Also, at the end of the meeting, I'll come up with a report of the timer. And what cards are these? These are called as the timer cards. The green card, the yellow card, and the red card. So, during a preparatory session, each speaker has to speak from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. I'll show the green card in 5 minutes, the yellow card in 6 minutes, and the red card in 7 minutes. And additional buffer time of the seconds. So make sure you speak within 7 seconds so that won't be disqualified. For the individual evaluation section, the green card will be shown at 2 minutes, yellow card at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and the red card at 3 minutes. And here also additionally 30 seconds of a time provided. Make sure to speak within 3 minutes. Or the Z.
Okay, so good evening, guys. Okay. So as you may know, I'm the art uncle, and what I do is oftentimes when we are talking, we make sounds there, and we want to convey our words the best way possible. Like we want to make sure our thoughts come out correctly, or we articulate ourselves in the best way. And but while doing that, often you make sounds or involuntarily repeat things and other such ways which bias time essentially so we can speak better. But in order to help how others perceive us, it's good if we avoid these things. And so just in a fun way, I'll be counting for all the times that you'll be making these sounds. Like well, and stuff like that. And well, it's not so but yeah, that's thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Now I call how you put away. Ishita for the first time to put away.
So, hello everyone. I'm Toastmaster Ishita, first time preparing. So, as a pocket guide for today, I will be in charge of usages, language usages, and I will be noting down any grammatical mistakes that you might make in speeches today. I will be presenting all the good usages and any improvements that you can make at the end of the meeting in my grammarian support so that you can work on and utilize the feedback the next time. Additionally, I will also be on the lookout for our word of the day. And today, the word of the day is seraphic. The word seraphic means something that is angelic, pure, or something that is heavenly in appearance or nature. So if you use a word of the day in a sentence today, maybe you get a special treat. Maybe emphasis on the mix. So I will be keeping track of all your words and your language usage throughout today's meeting. And yes, keep an eye out for the word of the day with Nadella.
Thank you, Grammarian Toastmaster Ishita. Now we move on with today's meeting. So all the best to the prepared speakers. So we move on to the first prepared speaker for today, Toastmaster Sean. And he is being evaluated by none other than Toastmaster.
So yes, hello everyone. I am Toastmaster Sean, individual evaluator. So today, Toastmaster Sean will be working on his L1P4 part 1. And L1P4 actually has 3 parts in which a speaker chooses a topic and then delivers a speech on it. And then they will receive feedback on it. And they will have to prepare another speech implementing the feedback that they've been given. And finally, they will have to serve as speech evaluator in another meeting. So today, Master Sean will be delivering the first part of his L1P4. And the purpose of this speech is for the member to present a speech and to get evaluation or feedback from another member. As his individual evaluator, I will be evaluating Toastmaster Sean on his speech, his speech structure, and his delivery style. I will also be delivering my individual evaluator's report at the end of the meeting during the individual evaluator section. So I hope you all look forward to that. Back to the general evaluation.
Toastmaster Sean, are you ready? Okay. Toastmaster Sean. Toastmaster Sean going on. Toastmaster Sean going bananas, going bananas. Toastmaster Sean.
Is it going bananas?
Okay. Toastmaster Sean going bananas.
What is that second? Going bananas.
Toastmaster Sean going bananas.
Bananas.
Toastmaster Sean.
Thank you very much. Together. When I was told to make a speech, told being forward for forced, I have come up with it. I didn't really have an idea brought up. And my father, in a very, shall we say, seraphic moment, he came to me, reminding me about a very old memory of the past. And I say memory of the past, even though memories are of the past, because it was a memory I don't keep buried. It's not a very particularly funny memory. It's not anything notable about this memory. It's just friends I just didn't want to remember. That's it. Okay. So, okay, what are your guys' favorite foods? This is a very good segment for conversation. Favorite fruits. Unless it's nature class, I do not have. It's all sorry, it's not simply all the game.
Watermelon.
Watermelon. I have to say that. All right. Now we move on to the. How many varieties of bananas do you think there are? Answer you. Options. 1,500. And that stuff.
Please do.
And she's the close. There are about let me see if I remember this number correctly. 1,072. It could be 72 or 73. I can compare my yes. 1,070 for the take species species of bananas. Alright. How many species of bananas are you guys eaten? Five, maximum 10, maximum 10, maximum 10. And then you name 10. It's already what? Less than 1,700. 1,072. My dad had an obsession. His obsession was growing random. Every summer, I'll come back home. And this one summer, I come back. Bananas. I was like, what is the point? My mom doesn't eat bananas. She eats very few. I eat very few bananas. My dad, I've never actually questioned him about how much bananas he eats. But yes, I asked you a human amount, which is a very few. So maximum you need like one full. I forgot the term for it. One full. So what's the point of having 10 different varieties of bananas? You just and that summer was the summer I had to take care of 10 bananas. This involved by planting, I mean, he bought the salmons. Planting it hasn't been done. My headache. So he hands them to me. He was like, I'll show you how to plant the first one. You do the rest name yourself. So that's how it began the whole summer of me toiling away for bananas. I don't know. So in this whole summer, I learned a lot about and that's basically about 1,072 varieties of them. They're mainly classified into, I think, varieties. You've probably seen red banana. Those are they, pictures. They look so perfect. It's like you could throw them at a wall and they still look exactly the same. Those are what? So they are number one expo. The number one most widely eaten banana across the this is the actual nobody ever knew about it. So probably is what we use for things like banana, spiral protein. The same bananas we use for that. I swear to you, you've never seen a banana that looks crazier than a blue one. It's light blue. It looks fake. I've never seen a banana that looks more. I've seen a lot of bananas. My dad one summer it's carnival with bananas. And I've never seen more weird banana than blue. Because trust me, they're a freak of nature. You do not want to see a blue banana. You see a blue banana, run away from that situation. Because there's zero reason why you need to be blue banana. You should try it, but it should better be unbelievable. so so like I said, an entire summer I spent growing bananas. This banana gave bloom, it's gotten fruits. And then I came back the next summer and I was excited to see my 10 living children. And I go there, she's of my children, where are they gone? He looks at me, he's like, oh, I've started taking a blueberries. I do this. And I'm next summer when I go back, I'll tell you what I did. That's how I spent the entire summer going.
All the things for the first I created by the response speech title. But moving on, we move on next. But she's being invited by those ones are so. So, okay, we get past PPE, those ones. Giving her another two project theme from the pathway persuasive influence. So this project is actually a common project for almost all the pathways. The level 2 project 3 is mainly about the members' experience as a prodigy, and they also elaborate on how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. So I wish Toastmasters Roshni all the very best for the project. Back to the general manager. Okay. Toastmasters Subhashini, the not so secret recipe. The not so secret recipe. I'm sorry, I think I made it. The not so secret spice. So sorry. Okay. The not so secret spice. The not so secret spice of Toastmasters Subhashini. And that you know when you eat a dish and you feel like there's just something missing in it. Something you need to add something to just make the flavors pop. That could be salt. That could be sugar. That could be some unknown spice. Let's say one of you go into the kitchen with no experience and there's just something missing. What would you even add? Okay? There's nothing we know enough about cooking to add. But when it comes to mindsets, it isn't all that good. On those days when you feel sad, when you feel confused, when you feel like life is not worth living and it's just a futile exercise in wasting resources of the planet, all you really need is a mindset change. And the not so secret spice that you need to change your mindset is some good old rich. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Toastmaster Subhashini. And as much as I am here speaking about advice and mentorship, I hate being on the receiving end of advice. Mother Earth gives me so much advice about so many random things that it all goes in one ear and comes out. This is a constant source of conflict between us. But the times that I do listen to advice. I'm not completely a bad daughter and a bad person. But this is going to be me talking about the instances where like the advice or the mentorship I received left a profound impact on me and continued. Now I want you all to think of
a place or something you love doing that you kept giving and giving to? I hope, is there a place like that for everybody? You thought of it? Now, imagine all of a sudden, maybe not all of a sudden, but imagine just the love you had for that place waning away. You no longer like it as much. It starts to become a chore, something you do because you agreed to do it. That is the situation that I faced a few months ago, and I was sort of stuck in a rut. It was a little hard for me to come to terms with the fact that this place that had been my heart and soul, something that I gave my all to, became something that felt very mundane to me. It makes sense. Compound, doing a lot, giving and not getting as much as in return, and just being taken for granted. Compound that feeling for over a year, and that's what you get apathy. Just as I realized that this is the house that had built itself on my emotional landscape, there came a time where I had to make the decision on whether or not to continue working for the space. This is the most confusing decision of my life. I thought, and every single day I came up with a different answer. Should I continue? Should I not? A part of me told me that, I worked so hard and I put in all this effort. And so I need to continue it. Just because not continuing means I'm giving up. And that's a waste of all of the work. The part of me that still loved that space told me that it would be a disservice for me to do something half-heartedly. And as much as I don't care about it as much, the place deserves respect. With this swirling whirlwind of thoughts in my head, I decided to approach a mentor, someone who I consider seraphic, and I asked them, what do you think I should do? What do I do when a place I love so much has become something I feel like I just have to do? What is the right decision? And this is the advice that I got that I think can be applied to so many other things in our life. For anything you wish to do, there's always going to be the good and the bad. What you need to evaluate when making a decision is whether the good outweighs the bad or the bad outweighs the good. If they are in balance, then that's all in good. If you feel like even if the bad is more than the good, but the good parts are worth it, that it is worth bearing through the bad parts for the good parts, then you should go ahead and move forward with it. This advice, when put in this clear way, was such an eye opener for me. And that helped me take a decision that I do not regret. And it's something that I'm very surprised about. You would rarely realize that people around you, maybe they're just fellow students, but you can get so much quality advice from them. Another instance that I would like to talk about is when there's this chat I've had, this conversation with a very close friend of mine, and it's something that I keep reading. You see, after I came to college with the constant comparison, the stress, the rat race that we're all a part of, I came to realize something. The current me in college, is someone that child me would abhor, would dislike so much. I definitely did not think I'd be such a loser when I was in school. When I was in school, I expected college me to be cool and smart and topping the charts. And I had this very concrete idea of what my resume should look like. And it does not look like that. So I was talking about this, and this is something that keeps swirling in my head. It's a recurring thought. And when that happens, I go back and look at this conversation that I had with a friend, where the main thing that stuck out to me was what my friend said. He said that no matter what, no matter how much we evolve and grow, there's one thing I know for sure, that I am going to be there for myself, and that's all that really matters. When he told this, I thought about it and I realized that's always been the case. No matter how much I hated myself, there's nobody else who's been there for me because I always knew that I need to do that first. So I never needed anybody to be there. And this is something that was another very impactful instance of advice that I received. Now, it would not be a speech about mentorship without me talking about my beloved ATC mentor, past president Haley. At the time that she was assigned to me as a mentor, I did not plan on giving any speeches. And so I thought it would be a very long time before I got to function as a mentee. But one day, after I served as the table topics master for a meeting, I went back to the room and found a 4 minute long voice note in my chance. I was surprised at what he only had to say for 4 minutes. I was rather anxious because I thought I had done something wrong. Rather, it was a very good, it was a review that I got about my table topic session. I was told where I went, what I did well, where I went wrong, what I could improve, and a lot of actionable tips that I got from that. And as someone who struggles to understand how others perceive me, this is a very helpful voice note. And it's something I look back upon. It serves as a blueprint for not only myself, but for every other table topic session that I observe. And I decide, and I always try to be the same way, to note and observe and think about how you can improve things. And with that, I like to over to the end of the conversation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Subhashni. I'll let you know my thoughts in the evaluation portion. Okay. Now we move on to the third prepared speaker for today, Toastmaster Aditya, and he's being evaluated by Toastmaster Veda. So I call upon Toastmaster Veda to introduce Toastmaster Aditya's problem.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Toastmaster Veda, and I'll be evaluating Toastmaster Aditya. So Toastmaster Aditya will be giving his level 2 college speech, just like Toastmaster Vashti. So through this speech, Toastmaster Aditya will share his experience as a prodigy or a mentee. So he will be reflecting on the impact of mentorship in his journey, and also talk a little bit about how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. So this doesn't have to be about his about the Toastmasters mentorship program or anything like that, but a real life story of guidance and growth. So I wish Toastmaster Aditya the very best. Back to the gentleman.
Thank you, Toastmaster Veda. Toastmaster Aditya, प्यार दोस्ती परिवार दोस्ती प्यार परिवार दोस्ती प्यार परिवार Toastmaster.
So, what you may not know is that I attended this speech 2 weeks ago, when I was informed by both our immediate past Winby and our Winby, a prepared speech needs to be prepared. You can't just hop up on stage and say what you want. I'm not even having a privilege. So here I stand before you. So good evening, everyone. And let me show you what Toastmasters envisions mentoring. When I first came across the term mentorship, I didn't understand how it was different from being a teacher, a professor, a coach. How are these things separate? Aren't there some overlap in all of them? And then when I went to Curriculum Basecamp and noticed the definition of mentor, it struck me different. Someone who you can depend on, not just through your Toastmasters journey, but in life in general. At the moment that struck me, I realized there's a lot of people that fit that description. As I attended Toastmasters Anjana's icebreaker the last couple of weeks ago, she spoke about the influence her mother had on her. And my title, well, those things are Parivar, I'm not going to tackle it all of it, but let's at least go chronologically. Now, I'm pretty sure you've all heard being Indians, Mata, Pita, Guru. Guru. Your mother is first. She was, she taught me how to be compassionate, to be kind, tolerant. There was a time when I used to fight with my sister, like cats and dogs, because we are all siblings. We all have siblings who we just want to kill, but we love overwhelmingly, so we will do it. And it was over a pair. I was 7 years old. It is over pretty much nothing, but in baby Aditya's mind, that mattered. And what my mother thought is, okay, she's wrong. Does it require you to scream it? Does it require you to make this a fun? You have to be accepting, be tolerant, go to her after she's calmed down, and she will apologize. And surprisingly, that's exactly what happened. And so I began to notice mentors are those who tell us the truth. And not just the truth, an actionable truth. Something you can enact and it will work out exactly the way it's supposed to. Then comes my father. And he was one who was very decisive. A quality I did not share until we had to pick our department for a 16 college. I was so confused. I didn't know where I wanted to go. And Dan said, make a decision. Make your decision. And I will not question you on, but make it. That sentence changed me forever. Because now decision making is on me. Every decision I make in my life, I am responsible. And that brought me a sense of responsibility of peace. But also, I was terrified because now everything is on me. But it is a lesson I continue to develop it. It's something that's worked out so far, and at least I don't feel regret because it's my decision. Let's go to the ghostly part. And my dear friend, Toastmaster Samir, who is with here, that's it. It's about my Toastmaster journey. Now, I have faced many challenges in my life. By the time I came to Toastmasters, I was already a pretty decent public speaker. So I wondered what would I require to do. As in, I can pretty much deliver speeches, I can figure out the title, I'll GPT everything else. AI solutions. But he did something no one else did. He called me at random hours, random days, and just checked that. And one time he called, I was in IIT Madras with horrible such, but he called again. One time I was here in class, I couldn't pick up the call, so I walked out and called him back. One time I was just at home doing absolutely nothing. But each time he called, he made it his responsibility to make me feel better. No cheer. That's all he wanted. Raise me up. That's all it is. That was enough and all I expected. And it's something I have learned to do now, which is you don't need to always teach someone to be a value to them as a mentor. All you need to do is help guide them to find their own. And if we may touch upon the last one, which is yeah, it is Valentine's Day. I'm sorry you're on here, but I expected better plans for you. Now, a lot of you know I have, well, girlfriend sounds terrible. I would rather say my person. Because she's deserving of much more than that. She taught me something no one else has ever been able to. Because in my entire life, I've been striving to provide understanding. I will kill myself on the spot. I will die on the hill, but I will make sure you walk away from this deal better than you came. Obviously, what's the end point of that? You burn out. You feel like you're useless. You feel like the people who depend on you can no longer do so. And yet, the only way to do it is to restrict yourself for longer so you can recover, so you can help out and find your balance. And she told me this one line. If you are in there, what's going to happen to everyone else? And I realized that's something you can take into consideration as being a mentor and as a mentor. Which is, if you are there, what's the point? At the end of the day, it's all about you. At the end of the day, it's about not just you finding your way, but you being brave enough to let someone else do so. We are all mentees, but we will all one day become mentees. We all have that gift. And it's been great to understand Ceramic Gavin. I would use August, but you are all quite in general. And if there's anything I want to take away from this, is that I, Amrita Vishwa, became who I am because of this. I walked into this club expecting competition. I walked away receiving bench. I have never been happier to be amongst a group of people every Friday. To the point where I currently am under Kingstroke Chemistry. Although if I did back out, I would be with you. So it is my privilege to just stand here before you and share this space. And I apologize completely, but I will try. You know, मेरे दोस्त मेरा प्यार हमारे सबके परिवार जीना सकता है they taught me how to live that
Thank you, Toastmaster Arthur. Now we will have our final speaker for today, Toastmaster Karen, and she's being evaluated by Toastmaster Sean. So I call upon Toastmaster Sean to introduce Toastmaster Kalyani's contribution.
Toastmaster Kalyani is doing level 2 project 1. The goal of this project is to understand your communication styles. So here in the project, you talk about different communication styles, and you're supposed to learn about those different styles. And you can either share the impact of the style, you can either you talk about your own style and how it impacts other people. Alright. So during the speech, you probably read the narrations already, but for the others, again, you can talk about your own communication style, or you can just talk about on some aspect of communication styles. And that's what I'll basically be judging on. All right. With that, I'd like to hand over to that.
Okay, Toastmaster Kalyani, the quiz. That's when the So I have a question. Who changed the perspective of how you see yourself? Yes, nice. So, as in my case, on a random Friday evening, my previous mentor, Toastmaster Roshni B, put a message in the mentor-mentee group stating that she wanted to conduct a speech scripting session. And she said she would guide us through it step by step to see how it goes because it's not level 2 is not like level 1. It took me 4 or 5 days to prepare this script. And literally right now, by reading it, I made a few more corrections. So as usual, me and one of the other mentees, Roshni Anand, agreed on attending the session. So moving on to the session. We were asked to take a quiz in the Toastmaster website. For me, it was to find out my communication style, and for Toastmaster Anand, it was to find out his leadership style. So, I thought I was supposed to still communicate. Hey, I didn't, disclaimer, I didn't even know what were the different types of communication styles prior to this. So, moving on to when I got the quiz results. I was shocked to see the quiz results because it was like supportive communication style, analytical, initial, and direct. I'm like, bro, what are these? I don't even know what they are. So as I took this quiz during the mentor session, I was asked to give the final result as to what came on the highest rank. And Toastmaster Roshni asked me one question. What came as your final result? And do you think it's correct? I read through the description because she asked me. It was as follows. This style is calm, sincere, gentle, and they dislike changes, and henceforth they may appear indecisive. Most they are seen as caring, patient, and approachable. And these people are modest and they often prefer praise and kindness. They put very high priority to their close relationships. They do not like being inside a conflict, they would prefer to be mediated. And they are very loud. So the reason as to why I agreed to Toastmaster Roshni's question as to do you think this business is correct is because I have divided it into two parts. The first part is as to why people see me as wrong. So given any random day, maybe the night before the exam or on a random early morning day, people would say to me, come to me and say that, you know what, Kalyani, I have a secret which I haven't told anybody. Okay, fine. This is fine when it comes to friends and a random person. You know what? For some given reason. And they say, and sometimes they choose which happen at home or in their friend group, which they cannot say to anybody else. I cannot say this with example because it comes from tell a single story. Moving on to the next part. That is why people see me as dependable, as a mediator. So let's say these two people, Anna and Bella, guys, you should be happy. I was trying to name them A and B, but I read the speech and it was very low. So Anna and Bella, we noticed that they were. I'm a Disney fan. I can see a lot of questions. They are roommates. So Anna is my classmate, and she is not my native language. Bella, she is my native language. These are just some points. Very good. So Anna is the type of kid who you see in movies. Perfect kid who has good grades, is very calm, sweet. I haven't met anybody excited in the story first. Bella, on the opposite hand, is angry, a complete mess, disorganized, and she hurts Anna a lot. So you may wonder where I come in this. Other than the part which Anna is my classmate, I am her close friend in class, and when I'm clueless with homework, when I don't know a subject, I just randomly barge into her room. Sometimes I don't even knock. And she explains it to me in such a calm way. So sometimes when I go to her room and while she explains, I see how mean Bella is for. I cannot react. I cannot mediate in that because for many given reasons. When on a random day, I was very clueless with this project and I went to her room just to see Honor and yours with few of her friends beside. I asked her what happened. Is there any issue? Obviously, there she's in tears. So she explained me the situation as to that a huge issue happened between Anna and Bella. And I offered her that if Bella created any other issue, that I would mediate it and I would support Anna in any given situation. On a random day after this fight, I was walking with Anna back to the hospital. Anna, who barely compromised us, told me, "You are different from the type of people I've seen because usually people prefer to support their native people, howsoever close they are with their friends." And that pretty much made my day because I'm a person who would rather stand on the right side of an issue than to mediate a person who is close to me just because of my native language. Just because of that, she saw me as a dependable friend who would help her in any given situation. So to conclude, I would like to say to each and every Toastmaster here and the guests here, whatsoever type of communicator you are, you should be true to us. And embracing your natural style of communication would just help you to connect with yourself and strengthen and grow a more. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kalyani. Now, this brings to an end all the prepared speakers today. All of you did really well after the individual evaluation reports. First, I call our first individual evaluator, Toastmaster Ishika, who evaluated Toastmaster Shah. Thank you, General Evaluator. Toastmaster Shah, how do you think you did? Sure. I was going to give the scale as 1 to 2 bananas. And I think you did 2 bananas because that was an amazing speech. First of all, you had an engaging intro. And I think the main thing that you need in a speech is to grab the audience's attention from the very get-go. And speech title itself, I would say grab our attention. Because I thought when we mentioned going bananas, it went as in crazy and not literal bananas. So good job on that. You had a very engaging intro and you maintained audience interaction throughout the speech. And you managed to use your speech as a crash course on a very specific topic, which I think it's not very easy to do. I'm pretty sure I will come off as a very knowledgeable person on the history of bananas and the various types of bananas, and I shall be sure to flex it to all the friends. Now, moving on. Your speech was bananas, and your humor was also bananas, I would say, because you managed to use humor cover up the things that could have hindered your speech. For example, we had issues with the teams meeting where we lost connection, but you managed to twist it around and use humor as an effective tool to kind of cover it up so that it wouldn't affect the flow of your speech. So good job on that. You also had something, some particular things or phrases in your speech that stuck out throughout the section. Like, for example, again, the blue bananas, which is not very common. So it kind of grabs our attention, and we as the audience tend to retain those specific phrases in our mind. You also had very good vocal variety, I would say. You paused, you changed up your tone, and you had good pacing when necessary. Managed to control yourself, your speed, your vocal variety, whenever necessary. So good job on that. Additionally, you also had good audience awareness, I would say. You managed to play along with the audience, get the audience attention where necessary, and you kind of had it throughout the entire section of your speech. Now, moving on to some things which I would say you could improve upon. One thing is that while you managed to get the audience attention, I would say that towards the latter half of your speech, you kind of let the audience control you. So while you went along with the audience, I think that your speech kind of deviated from the structure, as if you did not have a proper structure for it. So when the audience started engaging with you, you kind of went along with the audience. So maybe next time you could have a set structure for your speech so that you can stay on the path to finish it. Additionally, I think it would be better if you had better eye contact throughout your speech. I noticed that you also you had a tendency to stay stuck to one particular section of the stage, because of which your eye contact also managed to get stuck with one particular section of the audience. So maybe next time you could try utilize stage that you have, because it is a very nice stage. And you would also like to look at all audience because they have made a wonderful audience for your speech. So in short, I would say while you had amazing vocal variety, good content, and very good audience interactions throughout your speech, you could also focus on the overall structure of your speech because you had very good humor and very good content. So you could phrase your structure your speech better to kind of highlight your content, and you could also work on your. And with that, Toastmaster short. Congrats on very successful L1B for part 1. Back to the judges.
Thank you, Toastmasters. Now, our second event, was Toastmasters Roshni, who was graduated by Dr. Saranti. So, Roshni, the not so secret spice. I apologize for messing it up. The not spelling, I think, a revenge of not telling my pathway properly. So, yes. Okay, so it was a very seraphic intro because when I heard the speech title, Not So Secret Spice, I was thinking, I was actually very hungry when you told it. So when I saw the speech title, I was thinking about the various possibilities of her speech. And maybe I was thinking, what does a not so secret spice have to do with mentorship? Because the purpose of the speech was mentorship. So she had made it clear in her intro because in her introduction, she had introduced the various flavors, and then somehow she managed to boil them down to mentorship. And introducing that introducing that aspect in her speech was a really good introduction to her speech. So good job on that. Some of the good parts were, of course, the title did not give it away because sometimes we do see titles which makes the speech quite obvious. But her title and the speech purpose were completely independent. So that actually made it a very engaging speech. Second thing is that she mentioned about her learnings as a prodigy, and it did not only give away her learnings as a Toastmasters prodigy. She even introduced the instances where she was a mentee or she was unknowingly mentored by her mother, her friends, and it was a really good way to introduce her speech. And the gestures she had a lot of gestures. She did give away a lot with her body movement and everything. So good job on that. Coming to the project completion, number one, she introduced. Did she give a glimpse on how Toastmaster English is mentioned? Yes, because she did introduce an instance where she spoke about Toastmaster Hemini and what she learned from Toastmaster Hemini. And secondly, she did convey her learnings as a prodigy as well. So Toastmaster Subhashini did finish your L2 V3. Yes, you did. Congratulations on finishing level 2. What's that? Submit our level 2 completion. Coming to your improvements. First thing is, there was a question, I think in the introduction or somewhere, where you were asked about a favorite place. So it's better if you wait for the audience response. And based on the audience response, you can continue with your speech. Secondly, I feel like the conclusion was a bit rushed because I think it's because of the pressure when you saw the timer card that it seemed rushed. So next time when you're drafting a speech, try to see how you will how you will conclude your speech when you see the red card. And to challenge yourself, I would recommend you to have more audience engagement rather than an interaction because your speech had a lot of potential to have a lot of audience engagement. So I would recommend you to use more audience engagement. Besides that, a wonderful speech, a wonderful introduction. Just keep in mind of audience engagement, and you will do a wonderful job in future speeches. Congratulations once again. Congratulations everyone. But Selena, evaluated in
Hello, everybody. So I will be able to evaluate our Toastmaster Aditya. So today, Toastmaster Aditya wanted to speech. Firstly, I like your title, Dosti Pyar Parivar. I think it shows how you thought about mentorship and how it is split. And in your childhood, you need and you seek for a different kind of mentorship. You need advice on discipline, how to be disciplined, how to carry on the things in your life. And later, when you're in college, you need guidance. You need to make sure that people know that you're okay. Stuff like that. So I think your title is very nice, and I like the way you started. You talked about how the previous speech you gave is without being prepared. And then someone gave you advice about how you must be prepared, and here you gave your well prepared speech today. So you began with how your parents they talk about discipline, decision making, and later in college people give you advice about guidance and just cheer you up and the existence of you in the world and how it impacts everyone. So I like the way you choose simple language and not very complicated phrases and quotes like sometimes you have, but this time it was quite simple and you made sure that every single person in the audience understood exactly what you were talking about. So I congratulate you for that. And I also like your script writing in general. Like I could see that your speech was well written, and you had thought about each point and each thing that you were going to say. You made sure that it was split between family, you have friends, etc. One thing I thought you could improve on was a lot of places you would just speak and then you would say, might as well GPT or might as well do this. Or I should have done that. So sometimes your pacing gets a little fast than your usual speed while speaking. So I think if you said phrases like that in much more louder volume and with a little bit less speed, then everybody would be able to hear it properly. Apart from that, yeah, I think your speech was great. And I think you did justice to the objective of the speech, which is to talk about the impact of mentorship in your life. So I think we can all congratulate Toastmaster Aditya for finishing his level 2 project 3 speech. That's all.
Thank you, Toastmaster Veda. Now we will come to the last evaluator for today, Toastmaster Sean, who evaluated constructive governing.
Alright. This was the Kalyan, your project state. I'll just say that it was the purpose of the project was for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify their primary style, which you obviously achieved when you talked about the reading quiz, and then the quiz helped you identify your primary style. So you already achieved that. And the purpose was also to share the impact of your style, either on yourself or on others. And I think Toastmaster Kalyani performed a very excellent. So I like the round of applause. Your speaking was very clear. Everyone was able to hear very audibly. So you spoke very wonderfully. Your vocal variety. Here you had a very impressive tone. You would like if you manage to incorporate a bit more vocal variety, like a bit more highs and more lows in your speech. Okay, just to make it just that more sort of, not monotonous, just to make it feel a bit more lively. Just attempt to see if you can complete a bit more vocal. All right. Eye contact. You maintain good eye contact, but at times when you sort of, I think you were unsure with your speech, you sort of looked away from the now, and that sort of it exuded a sort of aura of uncertainty. So even when you are unsure about your speech, just try to make sure that your eye contact is still within the audience, so that because as I keep saying, the audience does not know us. You're the only one who knows yourself. When you forget something, nobody else will know. It's moments that when you show that awareness, that's when they understand, okay, maybe she forgot a line, maybe she forgot a word, right? Audience awareness, you were very aware of the audience gestures. You used a bit more gestures throughout the entire speech. And you were very comfortable with the audience. You engaged their interest a lot. And the pauses, when you were unsure, you also paused. You not pause exactly, you slowed down, right? And pause and usually we try to do to add gravitas to the next statement, right? When we slow down or when we pause, it's to add importance so that you can just allow the crowd to collect themselves before you go on to their next statement, before you go on to your next statement. It adds a bit more to your next statement. So when you pause, especially during the middle of speech, it might lead to someone to believe that okay, the next statement is going to be important. And when you continue normally, it sort of loses that punch. All right. So when you pause, again, I'm saying it's very good that you pause instead of using fillers, but pauses might not always be effective. You also had very abrupt transitions when you were talking about different, or when you talk about your examples and stuff like that. You transition very abruptly. All right. I'd like you to work on your transitions just to make sure that there is a smooth flow. Okay, because when it transitions, there's a sort of jar. All right. I think you have completed your level two project one. Very admirable. Congratulations. That's something.
Thank you, Mr. Sean. Now we move on to the tap team reports. Just one small disclaimer: the tap team, the timer and our counter will be timed for 1 minute 50 seconds, and the delay will be timed for 2 minutes. So first, I'll call upon our timer coordinator, Shashank.
Thank you, Toastmasters. So the timing report for the prepared speech is here. Toastmaster for Anand sir. Toastmaster Char, 6 minutes 51 minutes. Toastmaster Swashni, you are tagged for 7 minutes 27 seconds. Toastmaster Aditya, 6 minutes 42 seconds. Then Toastmaster Kalyani, 7 minutes 18 seconds. Pretty close. And coming on to the individual evaluation session, we have Toastmaster Rishita, 3 minutes 28 seconds. So, Toastmaster R3, 3 minutes 14 seconds. Toastmaster Veda, 3 minutes 24 seconds. Yeah. Toastmaster John, 3 minutes 14 minutes. That's it for the timer review. Over to the scene.
Okay, so congratulations to all the friends on their respective positions. So let's get to deliver. Our responsible has 4 Rs, 2 1 two so's, and repeated okay. Toastmaster Ishita had 3 Rs, 1 so, and 3 ands. Toastmaster Sean had 17 Rs, 4 Rs, 1 2 ands, and like. Toastmaster Subhashini had just a so, but there were a couple of stammers and repetitions. Toastmaster Veda had 13 Rs, 3 Rs, and 4 so's. Toastmaster Aditya had 1 so and 1 and. Toastmaster Kalyani had 4 so's. Toastmaster Anand did not have anything at all. I mean, I think you did a really great. So that's all for my report. Congratulations again. Okay. Thank you, Consider. Now I do not know I'm gonna be here. Okay.
Plus the part, I've decided I'm not going to manage. I'm planning to somehow put my God over my hands. But yeah, moving on to the comparison. Before I begin, is it because I said you would get something special that we had around 4 people use the word Sarah?
Yes, yes.
Maybe it made me upset to decide on it later, but yeah, thank you for the word special. Moving on, very support for the good usages. Memory and hope to keep buried. That was a good phrase because you don't usually tend to keep memories buried. Stuck in a rut, a good phrase. House that built itself on my emotional landscape. What a wide sentence. Good kudos on that. Rationals we are all a part of. It's a good way to symbolize the absolute craziness that we experience in life. Cats and dogs being used to compare the fights between siblings. I would have preferred rabbit beasts, but I think cats and dogs works as well. At the end of the day, it's all about people. Good sentence. Introduce various flavors and boil it down in your speech. I like the way you managed to fit it into Toastmasters speech. Good on that. Then moving on to the improvements. One full bunch of bananas. Maybe you could have made it as one or just a bunch of bananas. Baby children. I think this is the equivalent of society. On children. And then till date should have been till day or to this day. And with that, we have come to the end of the grammar support. For the people who have used the word of the day, you're free to get praise from me. That is your treat. But it is a very good thing, I would say.
But yeah,
Okay, so that's not bad.
So here I'm here with my genuine evaluators reports. So the meeting started at 4:52. Even though it was not a delay, we didn't manage, even though it was a short delay, I'm sorry, it was a short delay, but still we managed to be on track of time. So kudos to the role players who were available. The tag team introduction went really well because I noticed that the tag team actually introduced the importance of time and the words while they were introducing themselves. So it's a really good way for to introduce the roles. And then the prepared speeches. The thing is, whenever we see a prepared speech marathon, we always see these motivational speeches and usually things like that. But today, for a change, along with motivation, it was a lot of learning and it was a lot of, and we could take away a lot from today's session. So kudos to the prepared speakers. Congratulations on everybody for finishing your respective projects. Special congratulations to Toastmasters Subhash and Toastmaster Aditya for finishing level 2. Not a again, some of the levels of patience soon as possible. Okay, coming to the improvements. Firstly, we could avoid using abbreviations, for example, GE or TM or something like that. Better we can use the elaborate words of that gender evaluator or Toastmasters, and we should elaborate more instead of just using abbreviations. Secondly, we can avoid crosstalk because it's a prepared speech marathon. Usually, table topic sessions we do have crosstalk, which is somewhat manageable. But then when it's a prepared speech, it's a prepared speech. The prepared speakers might have prepared a lot, so it might hinder their okay. So it might disrupt their flow. So better we could avoid that. And thirdly, it's a very small thing which might make a difference. It is that members do not have to introduce themselves. Hello, I am an individual evaluator, I am a gender evaluator because the gender evaluator has introduced you also. There's no need to introduce your name or your role when you're introducing yourself in your speech. So overall, it was a very fun meeting. It was a prepared speech marathon, but it was a lot of fun. So kudos to the prepared speakers. Back to our presiding officer. Once again, Toastmaster Ishita for being on our
I'm going to become an athlete at this point. So yes, we've come to the end of the prepared speech marathon. How was the prepared speech? Does anyone have any feedback? Yeah, I think that's good. Yes. So the voting form has been set in the WhatsApp, and all right. If you could just take a moment to vote for the best prepared speakers and the role players for today. All right. So before we come to the results, just a couple of announcements. The poll for the club contest, that is for the table topics and the international speech contest, will be set, which will have the poll for the participants and a poll for the role players. If you're participating, please go ensure that if you're going for IIC, it is you have to finish healthy. And table topics open for all, so feel free to go participate, whatever you like. And for the role players, if you're not participating, feel free to come and help the organizing team for the club contest. And finally, congrats for our dearest Toastmaster Subhashini and Toastmaster Aditya. You have come to the end of your level 2. Congrats on the successful level. And are the results out yet? Alright, how about 2020? 3. Have you voted? Alright, fine. Fair enough. Also, while I have you all here, I'd like to take your opinion before the VP and Excom decide on something. So, ATC will be releasing our newsletter soon. There is an editing team that has been working tirelessly for days and nights to get the newsletter out. So, we're planning on getting a special event just for the newsletter. So, it'll kind of be like a table topic session, and we'll tie it in with the theme of the newsletter. And we'd like to decide on a date for it because it will be online, because a majority of the editing team who have been working on it will prefer to have it online. And we'd like all of them to be there with us. So does the date 22nd, that is Saturday. Is the date 22nd fine by what for a newsletter event? Online. Or we'll put a poll out for the same. We will also be having an education session soon enough, most probably online itself, to help any participants who would like to prepare for the table topics contest that is coming up. So do vote in the upcoming polls for the same. And do we have the results out there? Alright. Any feedback on today's session? I think it was okay, mostly on time. We did not deviate much. Yes, correct. Yes, good.
Can I just say I did not write this master either. Just making sure that it's overwhelmingly positive.
Interesting that you didn't come forward and say it, but maybe you didn't write all of us. We should, maybe we not.
I apologize for missing the title search.
It is fine. It actually we all did go bananas. And
It's not about speech session, but I've seen a variation of speeches like
mostly, yeah.
it wasn't solely just hopeful and pushing forward, it was more real. Like these are things that
But it was like we went from banana to motivation to that I think that was a very successful speech marathon. So good job everyone. Good job to the role players, all the people who came up with it. And with that, I have not seen the results. Good to know that Veda changed. Yes, all right. And the results. For the best prepared speaker. Oh, all right. We have a tie between Toastmaster Sean, Toastmaster Subhashini, and Toastmaster Aditya. For the first individual evaluator, we have Toastmaster Ishita. Correct. For the best player, the and for the very auxiliary role player, that is the variant Ishita. And with that, we've come to the end of meeting 333. Please feel free to stay back on network outside. But for now, let's come up once again for the group food.